I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but when someone that popular and iconic mentions Jehovah's Witnesses in a song, I gotta go check it out.
In your Jehovah's Witness suit.
The title of the song on Taylor Swift's new album, where she mentions Jehovah's Witnesses, even if just metaphorically, is called The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. And if you were in the religion for a long time, that made you think what it made me think. Am I right? Now, maybe one of the writers, because it was her and another guy who wrote the song, got that reference, and maybe they didn't, but I found that very interesting. And again, she only uses Jehovah's Witnesses as a metaphor in one line in the song, but it was enough for me to go listen to it. And the song is about looking back on a relationship that she had with someone that she thought was genuine, only having realized now with much more information that he was two-faced and insincere the entire time, and all the emotion that draws out of her towards this person. And it parallels so well the way someone who leaves the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses and looks back with all that newfound knowledge that they have and views the cult now that they're out and have all of this information. So I wanted to go through it because it really helps people see that the relationship you had with the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, with the Watchtower, was very much that of an abuser. They were an abuser, you were the abused one in the relationship, but you don't see that until you're out and look back. So let's go through the lines just in a couple of minutes and see if you don't agree that this song and all of its emotion and insights very much reflects how you look back at the religion after you leave. The smallest man who ever lived. Was any of it true, gazing at me starry-eyed in your Jehovah's Witness suit? Who the was that guy? Now stop there. Was any of it true? When you leave the religion and you look back, was any of it true? That absolutely parallels how you feel looking back on it. Gazing at me starry-eyed in your Jehovah's Witness suit. What I got from that is that she saw this guy who was so well put together, looked very respectable, and that won her confidence, especially since he was looking at her starry-eyed. Well, that's very much the reason why the Watchtower always tried to look so buttoned up and put together and respectable. They were playing a confidence game, a con game with people to try to draw them in with this picture-perfect, polished look and this starry-eyed gaze towards the heavens, only for you to find out that they weren't that at all. And thus she says, who the was that guy? It's like, I didn't know him at all. And is that not how you feel? After you've left the religion and look back, I didn't really know what it was about at all until I left. Then it goes on, you tried to buy some pills from a friend of friends of mine. They just ghosted you. Now you know what it feels like. And although that doesn't have a direct parallel, it definitely does in a sense that now the Watchtower is starting to feel what it feels like when they are getting attacked from governments through lawsuits, because they are known now. They're activists, courts, attorneys, governments, inquiries all over the world are revealing them for who they are. And now they know what it feels like. So that's how that hit me. And I don't even want you back. I just want to know if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. So there's a parallel there too. We don't want to go back to the religion, but when you first leave, you can't help but think, was their whole purpose always deceitful? Was there never anything good about it ever? Has it always been a con game? It makes you question that. And the further out you get, the more you realize that, yeah, at least for the vast majority of the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, it's always been a con game. But you don't know that at first, and it makes you ask questions. You're dazed. Like it says, if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. So while you're in, it might seem beautiful and wonderful, the hope, the paradise, the cleansed earth, all these things, Bible truths, all of that, the true brotherhood. But really, it rusts that sparkling summer because they kill your fun, they kill your joy, they sap your energy rather than give you something good. And then she says, and I don't miss what we had, but could someone give a message to the smallest man who ever lived? And I can certainly relate to that because I don't miss the religion at all. But the reason I'm here, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is to give a message to the smallest man who ever lived, to the people who run the Watchtower, who have no moral ethics, who are very small individuals. And I just love that parallel because the smallest man who ever lived compared to the greatest man who ever lived book that they publish. And I'm here to give a message and add a voice to that growing cacophony, that shouting at them and about them to people who can do something about it. So we have an inner need. When someone wrongs you, you have an inner desire to confront them with the wrong, to make them hear it. And although the Watchtower will never listen to us one-on-one, we can make them hear us by affecting them, by helping other people out, by the people who file lawsuits because they cover up crimes against children, by the governments who are going after them because of their shunning policies. Our speaking up is sending that message to Watchtower, whether they want to hear it or not. You hung me on your wall, stabbed me with your pushpins, in public showed me off, then sank into stoned oblivion. That is very, very fitting because Watchtower literally does hang you on the wall and stab you with pushpins. Now, of course, that she's referencing a voodoo doll there. And what's supposed to happen with a voodoo doll when they stick it with a pin? The person, no matter where they are, that doll represents them and they're supposed to feel that pain. Right? And that happens to witnesses who leave but aren't fully mentally out. They still get stabbed by the pins that were stuck into their likeness while they were in. It still stabs them. It still haunts them. I get people who write all the time about how long it took them after they left to get rid of all the cobwebs from the Watchtower. So even after you're gone, they still have a way of stabbing you, at least for a while, until you're able to completely deconstruct it and get out of it. Because once your queen had come, you treat her like an also-ran. You didn't measure up in any measure of a man. Again, now, I may be misinterpreting this, but it seems to me that what she's saying is once he was able to take advantage of her physically, then she wasn't important anymore. He treated her like an also-ran, showing that he didn't have any real integrity or any good intentions at all towards her. He did not measure up to any measure of a man. And that's absolutely the Watchtower. They fully take advantage of you. And once you've got nothing left to give them that they want, they discard you. You're no longer important. And if you don't think that's true, just ask any EXJW who's in their old age now because they left when they were older. They gave their whole life to the organization. They have nothing materially. And once it got to the point where they needed the Watchtower's help for their physical needs after they had given everything they had to them, they got nothing. Because Watchtower does not measure up to the measure of the one man they should be trying to measure up against, Jesus Christ. Or at least the parables that he left and the stories that are told of him, the accounts of him, how he helped people, healed people, fed people. Watchtower does none of that. None of that at all. They do not measure up to any measure of a man. And then it repeats the lines, I don't even want you back. I just want to know if resting my sparkling summer was the goal. And I don't miss what we had, but could someone give a message to the smallest man who ever lived? Then it goes, were you sent by someone who wanted me dead? Did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? Were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? In 50 years, will this all be declassified? Were you sent by someone who wanted me dead? Like, you start asking questions like this once you realize how insidious and terrible the Watchtower was. It really is like they were sleeping with a gun underneath their bed. They're like they were looking to attack someone. It's so awful and terrible. It's hard to fathom once you're out of it. It's such a deceit and a betrayal compared to what they teach inside. Whenever you realize what they're all about and leave, and the instant shunning starts, and now you're an apostate, now you're from the devil, even if your questions were honest, sincere, and legitimate, they'll have none of it. Were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? In 50 years, will this all be declassified? Now, we all have questions about when all the stuff that Watchtower is hiding is going to come out into the light. There are blue envelopes that are still being hidden in their offices in New York. Yeah, we all want that stuff to be declassified. And we ask those questions, and it's normal to ask those questions and wonder, when will all this be found out? When will they answer for all that they've done? And that's the next part of the song. You'll confess what you did, and I'll say good riddance, because it wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden. I would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside. And you deserve prison, but you won't get time. So, again, we say good riddance. We get rid of them. We don't need them anymore. We don't want them anymore. But when we were in, I would have died for your sins. How many people that were elders that left, covered up stuff, sat on things, defended the Watchtower? How many times did you, even if you were never an elder in any position of service, defend the Watchtower's bad behavior, whatever it was, because you felt obligated to come to their rescue all the time when you shouldn't have? We would have died for their sins when we were in. Instead, I just died inside, because when you're in, they do crush your soul. That is absolutely true. And they do deserve prison, but sometimes we think they won't get time. They'll slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. That's the next line. You'll slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. And a lot of times the Watchtower has gotten away with everything they've done. For so long they did. But their time is coming. They are losing many lawsuits. Governments are cracking down on them because of their behaviors and their horrific policies. It is coming, but I know that it feels like they'll never do time. But their day is coming. Their reckoning is coming. You crashed my party in your rental car. You said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. And I like that a lot. You said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. The Watchtower pretends that we're so different, we're so superior, we're so unique, we're so much better than everybody else. But no matter how much you give them, if you ever have doubts, questions, or turn around, you're gone. They don't try to explain. They don't try to reason, kick you out, shun you. You're gone. You're not special to them. You're not precious to them. They lie to you and act like you're so important to Jehovah and his organization until you have doubts or questions. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing. And in plain sight, you hid, but you are what you did. Watchtower does that too. They kick out the stage lights. They try to hide the spotlight, to turn it off so we're not paying attention to them, but they keep doing what they're doing in the dark. They're still performing. In plain sight, they hid. How many people knew or even still know just how horrible and dangerous and insidious the Watchtower and the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses is? How many of them know about the massive CSA epidemic? How many know they're hiding in plain sight? They're the biggest cult in the world, hiding in plain sight. But you are what you did, and I'll forget you, but I will never forgive the smallest man who ever lived. Yes, Watchtower and its leaders, they are what they did. They can't hide forever. We forget them in the sense that they no longer pain us. I'll speak for myself. It no longer pains me to think about it or to think about all the things that they did wrong and how mistreated people were and I was and Beth was and all of that. I forgot them in that sense, but I will never forgive. And that is why I'm here speaking out, to bring them to justice, to help get other people out, to further accelerate their day of reckoning. And they are indeed the smallest man who ever lived. Certainly not the greatest, definitely the smallest. Well, that's what I thought, but I would love to know what you think. If you would, please leave your comments below. Don't forget to like this video. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can get more videos of mine, and the notification icon so you get notified when I release new videos. If you want to support the work I'm doing, you can click the join button below to become a channel member. If you don't see that button, there's a link to become a channel member in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching.